Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We're here for the third and final round of the 2023 Throwdown the Mountain, presented by Discraft, along with Sun King. Paul McBeth has a 3-stroke advantage as we're heading into the back. Sullivan Tipton's trying to keep pace with him. Yesterday, we saw him tear up the back half of this course. Today, he's going to need to do that and then some if he wants to dethrone the champ, Paul McBeth, who's had so much success out here on the property. So much, in fact, he decided he would just buy the place. And it's going to be pretty exciting to watch as we close things out here for this tournament. Will we have extra holes? Will we have USDGC bids? We've got all the action. Nate Perkins is on the mic again. And what are they doing on 10, Perks?
Man, they have a pretty technical fairway to hit here. I mean, it's a tiny landing zone. It's easy to push it too straight into the small cedars. You also are throwing underneath this kind of heritage oak tree, and you're really pinched up against this barbed wire fence.
That's a pretty good spot to be.
It's a hole that forces you to shape an understable fairway, which we don't see a lot of out on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. So really like it. Paul's been going heat here. Watch how much hyzer he's going to release this with.
Kind of pops up to flat and then skips straight, which is exactly the play that he's going for.
That's such a fun shot. Brian Earhart is just beaming right now.
And if you watched coverage from probably 3 years ago or older, this hole was not in play. This was a relatively recent addition a few years ago. And that goes 2 straight here for Joey. And I say that, but yet everyone seems to love this hole. And I know McBeth said it's one of his favorite out here.
And that is out of position and pink cocksay for Joey. What a shot.
Making up for it, like you said, out of position. Oh, no. Yeah, he self-proclaimed shank there. And you don't have time to have any shanks out here when McBeth already has the 3-stroke advantage and you just have the back 9 to play. So this is just to try and get up and down and hopefully save the par. As we said, this round really started as a 2-man race. McBeth and Sully just way out in front of everyone else. Sully had 6 strokes on Joey. And Braeden doing work.
Yeah, you're losing strokes to the top, 12 players in the field if you're not carding the 3 here on 10.
And we're about to go into a stretch, even though the holes are some of the longer ones. We're going into 11, 12, 13, and 16 are, in fact, the 4 easiest holes on the course. So
yeah, that makes sense.
Keeping that in mind as you're trying to close out, knowing you have to score because everybody else on the course is scoring on those holes in particular.
Yeah, we've got a nice walk over to the tee pad 11. You kind of climb the hill, and then we are throwing one of the funnest shots on the property. Headed back down this hill. It is an attackable par 4. Late flipping drivers are the key to getting close on this one. believe Braeden is going DD3 here. Yeah, that's well thrown. Just a little low, but pretty good shape. Of course, we saw McBeth cruise this force in. Let's see if he can recreate that magic.
You like the line, but it looks like it just barely got hung up by one of the branches. We saw 3 eagles during round 1, only a single eagle in round number 2. We'll see who can possibly cash one in here today for us.
And Joey once again going with that gold on this forehand line. That's a pretty conservative line to take right there. And that's about as hard as we've seen Sully attempt a forehand. And again, just really no extension. Just goes to show you that you can generate that power with that lag and that wrist.
And I think young up-and-coming superstars like these guys are all proving how you have to be throwing from both sides. You have to be a good backhand player and a good forehand player if you're going to be competitive out there. The one-dimensional players, there's only a few that we have right now that have been around for a while, but if you want to contend with the best, you've got to have all those tools.
Oh.
So a good bid from McBeth, but at best looking at a birdie. And this is the lowest that this hole played throughout the weekend. Played 3.33 was the average on this hole. So tons of birdies. In fact, 57 of them in our field today.
So he eagled it during round 1, nearly drops it in during round 2, and same during round 3. That's consistency right there. I mean, he landed nearly in the same spot every round.
McBeth will move to 25 under. And the rest of the card will also pick up their birdies, as expected from a lead card here on the easiest hole on the course. Big thanks to our friends at Discraft. As Mike Barnett said, this event wouldn't be possible without the support of our presenting sponsor in Discraft. And we've got a new hole 12 this year.
Yeah, this is a sweet one. It's pretty technical. Ideal landing zone is right up here on this hill, and it's just another 250-foot straight shot into the picturesque green on the edge of the quarry here. Oh, really got on top of that forehand, looking down at his feet.
Yeah, and you talked about that earlier, just the fact that these tee pads are relatively or pretty close to natural tees, and so sometimes you might be dealing with some kind of bump or lump or something that's underneath the carpet there, or the fact that you're just throwing from a carpeted surface, which isn't entirely common. But McBeth, pretty much prime position, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a great shot with his force there. He hasn't hit that line yet this weekend, so I'll be pretty relieved to finally hit it.
Yeah.
And that was that same green gold that Joey's been throwing. Yeah. Really big misfire from Sully, who has been really accurate with the forehand. And
yeah, and at that point, just playing for position. I don't even think he's in a prime position with what would have been a good drive, right? You're hoping to land there in one, and now he's got work to do just to save the par. So the up and over, overhand action seems to work out just fine.
Yeah, pretty common play into this green. I love that the boulders are just left there next to the basket. I like that. There we go. Sully's got to get up and down right here to not fall 5 strokes back. Yep. He's been pretty money with that zone.
Bid comes up short for Braeden now. This is after his second and finds the bottom of the Joey bucket. Picking up yet another birdie. He's 8 under through 12.
Yeah, he missed some putts early and hasn't missed much since.
And McBeth is going to extend his lead as Sully is going to walk away with the par. So McBeth now will have that 5-stroke advantage. And we're 2/3 of the way through the round. Trying to close this thing out. And if that wasn't tight enough, we're going to head over to a par 5 here on hole number 13.
Yeah, really fun par 5 here. Pretty wide tee shot. You just don't want to push it straight into the sawgrass or hyzer it too much. You can find that OB line on the left. And there is a lot of room to play here on the second shot. We see a lot of rollers out to the left side of that fairway. I think Paul's going to stable up here. He made the mistake of going too straight and, yeah, makes that correction. That's got to check. Okay. And that's in a really good spot. He could definitely attack this green.
Yeah, and if this does look new to you, last year we did not tee from down here. This was literally 6 inches of standing water and mud and just the nastiest area to be in. So we actually didn't even use this tee last year. We teed from up on top of the platform, and this area is really prone to being wet down here, but they've had a very dry spring, as our host Dwayne has told us, and so we're able to use the traditional tee pad down here. You have to wonder, when we see the tees officially put in, maybe there'll be some kind of elevation or a deck or a platform so that even if it does get wet down there, they'll have a way to counter it. Something like you see at Rolling Ridge up in Wisconsin, where they kind of have built bridges essentially and an entire area to tee from.
Ooh, I would love to see this course with Rolling Ridge infrastructure. Yeah, that was a good looking gallery there.
Yeah, taking in the action out here on Championship Sunday. You mentioned it earlier. It's a little stuffy out there, pushing 90 degrees on April 2nd. That's not just a Wisconsin boy saying that. That is even our Floridians say it's a little bit hot out there today.
Yeah, it was cooking.
And speaking of cooking, Joey, 8 under through these first 12, doing some work today.
Oh, that's a good look at the whip that Sullivan has in that forehand. Just no extension. Preloads that wrist and fires away.
And McBeth trying to set himself up for an eagle look. And he'll have one. It'll be a long one, but he will have a look at the basket for eagle. And I was thinking it a few holes ago, look at the difference between Sully and Joey at this point. That's just 2 strokes. I mean, the fact is they started out 6 strokes apart at the beginning of the round. Now it's just down to 2.
Yeah, we definitely saved the best card for last. This has been a treat to watch. Come on now. We're ready for one.
He wasn't. Not the bid McBeth was looking for, that's for sure. And Joey's in for birdie. I said it, 11, 12, and 13 are your 3 easiest holes relative to par today. That wasn't the case all weekend. 11 was always the easiest, but 12 and 13 didn't necessarily play as the easiest, but today they are. McBeth is going to have to just settle, so to speak, for the birdie.
So after you tap out here, you take this sweet little trail up the hill.
I think we're going to check in with these guys on top of the hill. Somebody's taking a look at the scorecard, and they'll do that right after we see what they have to do here on 14.
And this is just one of those holes that you never forget after you play it. You can see the basket straight ahead. You're almost eye level with it, would you say, Terry?
Hey, I'm matching pole right now. That's all I have to say. Check the scores. We're both like 8 or 9.
Yeah, the gray gumbo out here is rough.
Oh, what's up, Greg?
So Joey Buckets is fully aware of this round that he's shooting. He said, just check the scores, is what he told us to do. He said, I'm keeping up with McBeth. And if you take a look, yeah, Joey's sitting 9 under. McBeth also 9 under. And so he knows what's going on out here. Now, clearly, maybe not hunting him down for the win, but I think he knows that keeping up with the 6-time world champ is a feat in itself on a course like this.
All right, and that's the most pace we've seen Paul go off the hill of 14.
He kind of called for it. He said right before he threw, he said, yeah, I think I'm going to try and get on this and maybe go after the eagle. So you called it, that he certainly put more on it with that throw. And this is low, flat, and pushes a few spectators out of the way on that left side. I don't think you're disappointed with that shot at all.
Yeah, that was force for Paul, cock save for Joey. I believe that's DD3 for Braeden.
Really good anti-skip. Normally it's going to catch an edge and then push over to the left side, but that one kicked over to the right for him, putting him in even better position. We didn't see too many forehands off the tee, but that one works out just fine for Sully. Braeden throws first.
Tee shot is demanding here, but this second shot I feel like is the toughest one because of the sawgrass cedar bunker over on the right. There's also an OB line right past that bunker of sawgrass that keeps you from just going big hyzer or big turnover.
I love the play there, keeping it nice and low, basically riding that low-cut grass or that really hard roads, path that brings you all the way to the pin. Pinched off, but gets out and around that bunker of sawgrass, as you were calling it, so still in really good position. And McBeth getting squirrely.
Oh, just a little low. Man, I would have loved to see what that disc did with some height.
Pan over. He might have a long look at Eagle.
Same disc, 3 shots in a row. The pink cock save from Joey. Man, this kid is on right now, Terry. He's going to be a short putt away from 10 under par. Oh, there's trouble over there.
There is. He's going to stay in bounds, but not going to have a very good look. It's going to be almost 100% obstructed from that side. Wow, and that'll give Braeden a look to the elevated pin. And you see just how close McBeth actually came to that right side OB. There's an orange painted line just behind him. This reminds me of 6, kind of just a blind look at it.
Oh.
And not far off. Doesn't draw metal like he did back on 6, but it had the height, it had the speed. And Sully just buried in the sawgrass.
You can just like almost feel the way that this sawgrass feels on your skin when you... No!
Just tossing it up, finding the bottom of the bucket.
It was completely blind from the middle of a giant sawgrass bush. Is it a bush if it's sawgrass?
I would think so.
I'm going to get burned for that one. So I was walking from the basket of 14 to 15, and a fan came up to me and told me I was the only player in the pro field to birdie this hole. All 3 rounds.
Wow, that's incredible. You did?
I did.
Yeah, I believe that. That's incredible.
Really sweet hole, though, and this card played it pretty well.
They certainly did. This is the 4th. Oh, correction, not quite the 4th most difficult. It plays right about in the middle in terms of difficulty. It averaged over par, 5.11, as these guys are like, where the heck did that come from?
I started playing disc golf with my family when I was 8 years old. When I was 16, I got my first job as a cook at a bowling alley, and that's when I made my first batch of beef jerky. As I got better at throwing, I also got better at making beef jerky. Everyone told me they loved my jerky. After 15 years of making my beef jerky as a hobby, I decided to make it available to everyone. Double G Craft Jerky. Give it a try. You're gonna love it.
You're going to love it even more when it's free. All you got to do is leave us a comment. We got all sorts of giveaways. Perks talked about one in the opening, and you know me, I'm giving away jerky pretty much every single round I put up on YouTube. I've teamed up with Double G, and even if I buy it from them, I turn around and say, hey, let's give some of this away. I got to share the love.
Hey, guys, we just got to get Disc Golf Guy to 100,000 subscribers. I'm going to be shipping out a Upper Park Rebel bag full of Clash discs and RPM plastic. And Terry, I came over here to watch this lead card finish these last 4 holes, and I overheard McBeth and the rest of the group. They had their phones out looking at the PDJ Live, and they were discussing how many USDGC spots they were giving out to determine what these players needed to do for those spots. So pretty cool little interaction to eavesdrop on.
Yeah, certainly a big deal. As everybody knows, early in the season, you want to secure that bid and earn your way into the event. So I can understand how these guys were talking about it, probably trying to figure out who's already qualified, who's not.
Yep.
And how that's going to all shake out as they're trying to close out the tournament.
Yeah, think McBeth was the only person in the field that was actually already qualified, which is rare.
Yeah, I guess I could see that at this point. And I feel like I took a bogey during round number 2. We saw the shot come in. It caromed off the fence, and my remark was that it was playing defense, when really it was clearly offense, as in off the fence, and stayed in. I always think of those later. And really just 2 almost near perfect shots. Now, there was a very lengthy conversation that took place moments before this shot that you're about to see here from Joey. He's near the barbed wire fence, but they were uncertain exactly how that was determined. And you get up to 2 meters. We've talked about that extensively, but they weren't sure if that exact spot was, in fact, eligible as well, because the barbed wire was close, but not right there. So he threw that shot and then is calling a provisional here, and you're going to see him throw, giving himself the full 2 meters. And yeah, so it was a lengthy conversation that they were uncertain of how to play. We talked about it in round 1. If you're ever unsure and your group can't come to a consensus or a ruling, play it out both ways and call provisional and then talk it over with the tournament director. And so he threw a near perfect shot initially, and then on this provisional shot, that one gets hung up and comes up short.
And that was the full 2 meters on the second one?
Yeah, that was the full 2 meters.
Which is really awkward because he parked the first one, and so he can always opt to not take the full 2 full meters. Anyhow, don't see that very often.
I'll go ahead and spoil it for you guys. He ultimately is going to get carded from the first shot. They talked it over at the end, as you should at the end of the round, and the result of his first throw is the one that's going to ultimately get carded.
Whoa.
And this is a little bit of a hope and a prayer at that point, because you have no way to get around going up to actually get to the pin in one shot. So McBeth's just launching it up there, trying to get pin high, and he's done just that. So he'll still have a look.
He tried to send that Zeus back home to the clouds. Okay, so this is his provisional putt here.
Exactly. This
2
was
2 meter one.
Yeah. And again, at this time, they hadn't, even though he draws metal, they hadn't gotten a confirmation. They do so at the very end of the round. But I'm going to spoil that for you and tell you the result of what they came to the conclusion of. And a bid by Sully, but doesn't get that one to drop.
I didn't realize he skated that far down the hill. That was a pretty big moment in the round, with Paul having this for par.
Wow, so McBeth, who has played pretty well, has limited his mistakes, and of course has picked up more birdies than anything and during this round, and is looking at a bogey.
This kid's birdieing every hole. Has he birdied every hole in the back so far?
It certainly feels like it.
I think he has. Really fun to watch. These hyzer spin just right on the pole.
Yeah, and you've called it. Every hole since 10. So on this back 9, so far, he is a perfect, what is that, 6 for 6, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So that's the score that ultimately counted, was in fact the birdie. And McBeth is going to tap in for bogey.
Yeah, he's going to lose one, but 4 strokes, 3 holes to play. It's not over. There are some swings to be had here, but something's got to happen soon. And here we are, curveball, 163 feet. little speed control hole here. You can't air this one deep, and you really don't want to see your disc hit this hillside. A little bit of nose up helps this putter shot slow down, and that is just well thrown. This is a very common play here. Going zone.
Oh, and that checks up as well. Pretty much same exact spot as we see Joey. All right. A nice little grouping over there. Standstill here for McBeth. And we saw him miss the gap in round 2, and now he hits it. But like you said, that's the danger. If you come in too fast, you're going to have a comebacker that looks like this.
Would you just look at that backdrop? Freeze frame.
So McBeth is going to leave the door open. Like you said, Sully's going to need all the help he can get. He's down 4. And he's going to try and make it 3 in a moment.
You know what I didn't hear this year, Terry? Were comments about how this is the highest point in Florida.
I'll tell you, it's the 5th highest point in Central Florida, actually. And if you're going to take a picture, this is one of the many photo ops. And I know every year I see the pictures pop up in my phone, and I'm like, well, I probably should get one this year too. So beautiful place to do so.
I got one as well.
And just as I was about to call us predictable, I would have predicted that to go in. And who would have guessed that he gets the previous 6 in a row and then misses the short one here on the shortest hole in the course and one of the easiest on the course?
I don't recall what the record is. I think it might be a 14. But he was closing in on a very memorable number, and that's just unfortunate to see that one slip away from him.
Anything can happen on 17 and 18, though.
Yeah, this is definitely a swing hole right here. There's a little artificial OB pond on the right, and then cliff on the left with an orange line of OB up the entire fairway. It super demanding backhand turnover with some late fade if you want to park this one. Forehand is kind of the safe play here. I feel like the closest I've seen one is honestly right about there, 42 feet, kind of a low ceiling putt. Nice shot though.
Yeah, like you said, I feel like that's the safest. I don't have a better word for it. It's conservative.
Yeah.
And that's a backhand that was also on that short right side.
I think this is playing as the second hardest hole on the course. I think it goes second hardest hole and then hardest hole with 18.
Yeah, nothing like closing out on the 2 most difficult holes out here, right? So McBeth sitting on a 3-stroke lead, 2 left to play. And just barely gets up to that tree. And then I know I said it earlier. Look at Joey. Look at Sully. Just 2 strokes apart as well. So you're talking about USDGC implications. We're talking about a much more significant paycheck.
And at this point, we've got Thomas Gilbert, who has just rocketed up the leaderboard. He just finished with a 12 under par right before these guys tapped out on this hole.
Oh, and I feel like Sully absolutely needed that. McBeth for a 4-stroke lead and doesn't draw any medal. Yesterday, the mistake was high left chain. He was frustrated with the effort. Today, no medal at all. Back on the train.
Man, he was just a 12-footer away from a perfect back so far.
Doing work. This is Braeden coming back, and huge credit to him as well. Remember, way back, almost 3.5 hours ago, he opened with a double bogey 5, immediately erased those on holes 2 and 3 by picking up the birdies, and then really has put together a solid round. He's sitting 7 under, and that's with a double bogey. And the lead will be 3 as they head to hole number 18. Our 54th hole of competition, Nate. And in order to wrap this thing up, you first have to throw down the mountain.
It's appropriately named, Terry. This is a huge downhill tee shot. You're teeing off from out of bounds. There's that OB pond you can see with flags, and then it's almost like an island green here on 18. You can go deep, you just can't come up short. And it was pretty calm here for this final round.
Joey within 1 of Sully.
That's got to get down, I think. Oh, yeah. It's a little too much air under that disc.
That's the hillside they'll be tossing up back on top of here in a moment. But first, you got to find yourself safe. So Joey makes the mistake, and then Sully follows it up with almost the exact same mistake. And if McBeth was feeling any form of pressure or threat, seeing his closest competitor go out of bounds here on the tee shot, has to feel like it's completely secured at this point, regardless of what he does. Not too likely you're going to see him giving up that kind of lead. In fact, I think there's about a 0% chance of something like that happening.
Yeah, and there Paul goes, leaning on the stability of that cap wrap right there. And shout out to Paul Ulibarri. I believe he just got designated to the icon team of Discraft. Hey. Oh, just scoots over the flags. And I believe Braeden is going to have that putt to secure a USDGC spot.
Yeah, he'll be looking at from there. That's going to be a birdie look. And in fact, I think as he was lining it up against his next closest competitors, he didn't even need the putt. He can, in fact, just lay it up. So he does have the spot secured at this point, which is a really good spot to be, of course. And both Sully and Joey have their spots secured at this point as well. Just trying to close things out.
Oh, man. Joey's going to have that for a 12 under par.
So McBeth's up top looking at the tap-in birdie. And at this point, Sully's just trying to hold off his buddy Joey here. And his putt's going to be longer. So Braeden does have this. It's really inconsequential because he's got the lead and is out ahead of the next closest competitor by a couple of strokes. But that is a nasty little roll away.
Wait, so he just had to lay that up for the U.S. spot?
Yes.
And now he has to make that to secure it?
That is absolutely correct.
And congratulations to Sullivan Tipton on his performance this weekend. He just locked in second place and a bid to the 2023 USDGC.
And sometimes taking second to someone like McBeth kind of feels like you won. Like you beat all the normal people, right? I mean, taking down McBeth at this property is almost unheard of. So Braeden needs this. to punch his ticket to the USDGC.
Oh, no way, Terry.
Yes.
Oh, does he know?
He does.
Know? Oh, he does.
He
He's
absolutely does know. That's going to drop him to 15 under, and that will tie him up with Dylan Sepola and Aiden Scott. So had he just laid that up, taken the par, he would have been at 16 under and secured the bid on his own. And that means there's going to be a playoff for the final USDGC spot. Meanwhile, Paul McBeth, perfect here at Throwdown the Mountains. He's never been defeated.
Yep. 5 appearances, 5 wins.
Congratulations to Paul, and I'll say it yet again. Thank you to all of the incredible supporters and sponsors here of the video coverage, along with Swarm Digital Marketing and the Players Meeting, 2 of the bigger sponsors. And Nate Perkins, killing it, buddy. Love you. Thanks for joining, man.
It's always a pleasure to join you in the booth, Terry, and thank you for all you do, filming disc golf tournaments in every corner of the world these days.
I cannot complain. As we look at the final scores here on your screen, we're going to have bonus coverage that comes out from this. Of course, the FPO coverage, and we got a little special interview with one Paul McBeth. Let's catch up with him now. I'm the Disc Golf Guy, and that was my video blog. Joined by our champion, Paul McBeth. 5 for 5 here at Throwdown the Mountain events. Talk to us about the weekend.
I mean, first off, the weather was beautiful. I mean, couldn't ask for anything better. I guess it's risky to say, but I think Florida is my favorite state to play disc golf in. I feel like the weather's always great and people show up. So, I mean, that's what I have to say about Florida right now, or the tournament, sorry.
Well, there's a ton of excitement, of course, this weekend. I don't know if you felt any additional pressure or not, but you showed up, of course, just a few days ago. It was made public by yourself, along with Dylan Cease buying the property, and then playing and competing here. How many random suggestions or questions did you get thrown at you this weekend? Was it a barrage of them?
Definitely a lot of suggestions, but no, a lot of thank yous and just people sharing their gratitude. So it was really cool having that experience. But I guess I'm kind of hard with accepting that because I know the job's not done. You know, it's not done. I mean, we have the course, we have the property, but no baskets are permanent yet, no tee pads are in yet. So I think I'll be able to accept those once it's done and open.
All right. Well, and I know you've talked about it, and with a heavy heart, both you and I are losing our host in Dwayne and Susan Reeder, who we've been visiting and staying with for all of these years. The question, I guess, becomes, are you going to have something here on site locally that you're going to reside at, and then can I just stay with you there?
As far as reside, I have my RV. So I have my RV, I have this property. I'm sure I'll find a spot to park it and plug in.
I'll fit.
But I think we're standing where the future pro shop's going to be. So that's my goal is that view, if it shows behind, that's what I want the pro shop to have one day. So we'll see. I mean, we got a lot of work to do at the county or city or whatever to make sure we meet all the codes and all that stuff. But yeah, I hope we can have it up and running by the fall as far as Dylan and I and having that vision rolling. So.
All right, everyone. That's Paul McBeth. He's never lost here, and now he just plays like he owns the place already. Him and Dylan, looking forward to all the exciting news. Congratulations yet again. Thanks to all of our sponsors and supporters throughout this entire weekend. You guys have been amazing. And the cameraman hustling around, doing the work out there so that we could get you guys the coverage. For Paul McBeth, the champ, I'm the Disc Golf Guy. We'll catch you at the next one.